Should I annuitize my IRA to protect from a downside? This is a question I'm thinking about, man. So I'm just going to share with you what I'm thinking about. All right, so I'm 50 years old, all right? Got some money in IRA. I no longer contribute to it. I'm all putting my money into VTI in my M1 account. I'll switch that to Schwab at some point. Just plug in. But I don't like it because I have no access to that money without significant income taxes and a 10% penalty. So is there a better way? Well, you got these 72T rules, the separate, equally periodic payments. And I'm not sure if an annuity qualifies. I just don't know. I think it does, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so my thought process is like, why don't I take some of my IRA, annuitize it, bring the money over from my IRA, have to pay income tax, I grant you, but it'll be taxed according to my annuity payments, and then put it in a brokerage account. So that way, when I'm 60, I no longer have any money left in my IRA, and instead I have everything over my brokerage account. On top of that, it'll make sense too if the market falls. I'm basically selling high because when you annuitize something, you're giving the insurance company X amount of dollars for which they're giving you an income stream that you can't outlive, if that makes sense. So in this case, I'm like, all right, let's just say $100,000. I got $100,000 in my IRA. I annuitize it. I get an income stream, and now I'm going to dollar cost average back into the market. If the market falls, I avoid the market falling, and I'm still buying low. Essentially, what's happening here is I'll be selling high, buying low, and hopefully to sell high again. Now, the drawback, frankly, would be a couple things. I'm paying taxes today where I don't have to pay until later. That doesn't bother me so much. I don't like the 10% penalty. That bothers me significantly. The second drawback, frankly, is that I'll also not just be paying taxes, but what if the market continues to go up? All right, so let's crunch these numbers here. So I went to Schwab. I'm born January 1st, 1970. I'm in Georgia. I'm going to put $100,000 into a 10-year SPIA, income annuity. All right, that's going to pay me $887 a month. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to assume that it's not subject to a 10% penalty. I'm going to assume an income annuity, a SPIA, is not subject to a 10-year premature distribution penalty because I'm not 59 and a half. So I'm going to remember with 72 T's, for instance, you got to do it 5 years or until you're 70 or until you're 59 and a half, whichever is longer. So for me, that'd have to be for 9.5 years. Got 50, if that makes sense. So basically, what's happening here? I'm saying I'm going to have this account in my IRA moved over to an annuity. I'm going to take $887 a month every month. That will not be subject to a penalty. I don't believe, but it will be subject to income tax. And I'm going to get it out of my IRA. My thought process is I'll wake up 10 years from now, that $100,000 is completely removed from my IRA, and instead it's over here in my brokerage account where I have access to it essentially tax-free. Not quite, but pretty close. All right, so the couple conundrums here. $100,000, obviously, I'll no longer have access to that money. And if I needed that money for whatever reason, it's irrevocable. An annuity, and SPIA, an income annuity, is an irrevocable event. So you don't want to do everything. You want to make sure you kind of have cash to cover roof going off and deductibles on your auto insurance, all that stuff. Part two, though, is what if the market continues to go up? So I'm going to say $100,000, my other one, is what I'm going to annuitize. If I left it in the IRA after 10 years, that $100,000 would grow to, let's say, 5% a year is what we're going to get. Hold on just a second. $1,000 would grow to 162 at 5%. Let's say 7%, what would it grow to? It grow to 196 at 7% because the rule is 72. All right. So if I do nothing, I got 162,000 when I'm 60 years old, or 192,000 depending on what the growth is on the portfolio. I'm just using a simple linear rate of return, which makes sense because I'm not touching it. So a linear rate of return is fine because even if it goes up and down over the course, the compounded annual growth rate, CAGR, would be 5 or 7%. All right, now I know I'm going to lose 25% to taxation, so we can worry about that in a different video, but I'm not worried about that in this stage. All right, so we know it's going to grow to 162 or 196 depending on what I get from the growth on that for the next 10 years. All right, so let's see. Instead, though, I'm going to say, okay, well, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to get $887 a month. I'm going to dollar cost average into a brokerage account. We'll just say VTI. What would that grow to? All right, so hold on just a second. All right, so if I dollar cost average at 5% a year, all right, so I'm putting 887 a month into it, I will have 137 at 5% or 153 at 7%. All right, so what happens here? 10 years from now, I will be 25,000 for the poorer, or 43,000 for the poorer, depending on the rate of return I get. So I'll be 25,000 richer if I don't do this. If I just leave it in there, I got 5%, or I'll be 43,000 richer if I got 7%. So depending on what the market's doing. Now let's just say average 2%. We'll have a decade like the 2000, the odds. 2% a year interest. In this case, I have 117 if I do the SPIA. All right, so hold on just a second. At 2% interest, my 100,000 only grows to 121 if I just leave it in there. All right, so that's interesting. So you can see a significant difference there. So let me go over here, and I'm going to see, we're going to do 12 payments a year. Hold on just a second. All right, 12 payments a year at 2%. Oops, there we go. 2% a year interest, 120 payments at $887 a month, zero present value. Yeah, 117. Interesting. So what's happening here is if I do the annuity and I expect only to get 2% a year, I got 121 10 years from now, or 117 if I do the dollar cost averaging at 887 a month. The reason, because I'm getting 887 a month, that means I put 100,000 in, I get 106,000 back. If that makes sense. I'm already up $6,000 by doing the annuity. The question is, whether or not I get a rate of return that makes it worthwhile outside of the not doing the annuity. I hope that makes sense. It's very interesting. Anyway, so here's the Schwab stuff. Something I'm thinking about, man. And from a tax perspective, again, assuming there's no premature distribution, I mean, when I wake up, well, that's not, I haven't taken taxes out. So let me back up that. But still, I have access to it before I'm 59 and a half to whatever I have in that non-annuity account, non-IRA account. And my annuity account, my side bucket. Something I'm thinking about. Love to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think. All right, we'll see you.